Another week come and gone.
Okay. Um, damn. I didn't like this movie very much.
Me either.
So,
I really don't know how long this episode will be.
well, we'll find. I mean, I have things to say and I don't know. Well, okay. So, hi, witches.
Hey, witches.
So, we are talking about The
The
Witches,
1990 and 2020 versions.
right? Kaya watched the 1990 version and I watched the 2020 version.
I hated it.
I didn't hate it, but am I gonna watch it again? No. Do I regret buying it instead of renting it? Yes. So, yeah, so I don't know if the story differs at all. I know it's based on a Roald Dahl story, who's the guy who wrote Matilda, amongst other
And Willy
things.
Wonka.
And what?
Willy Wonka.
I thought you said Moana. I was like, what?
No, he did not.
Yeah, he did write Willy Wonka. That's right. I only have who wrote and directed the 2020 version, so
I didn't look that shit up.
so why don't you tell me what happens in the 1990 version and is it 1990 or right?
It's 1990.
Okay. So why don't you tell me what happens in that version and we'll
Okay.
compare.
There's an old lady, and her name is Grandma. And there's a boy, and his name is, I want to say Luke. And it opens up with Grandma saying, witches are real and they hate children and they have square feet and pointy noses and purple eyes. And she goes, and they can smell children. And then she said something, I don't remember her exact phrases, but she said that children to witches smell like dog shit,
Hmm.
specifically dog shit, not cat shit, not human shit, dog shit. Okay. And I'm just like, didn't know it was that distinct. But all right. This kid's from America and she's from Europe. And he comes to visit her and his parents die. So she inherits him. Oh God. Okay. I forgot. She's telling him about the witches and she starts off, finishes off, whatever. And she tells him about this little girl who used to be her best friend. And when she was like 11 years old or something, the witches took her. After they took her, she appeared in this painting, but she would move every once in a while. And was, as time passed, she grew up in the painting. I thought that was a really interesting aspect, but they never ever came back to that. They should have.
Hmm.
So she's telling him about the witches, and then he's playing in a treehouse like a couple weeks later, and this lady approaches him and is like, "Hello, child. I have something for you. Don't you want to come down and see what it is?" And he's like, "No, I'm good." And she looks up, she takes down her sunglasses, and she looks at him with her big, bright purple eyes. And he's like, "That's a witch." But he doesn't say it. He doesn't let her know that he knows, which I think he
Hmm.
should have. Um, and she keeps trying to convince him, and she goes, "But don't you want to know what I've got for you?" And she pulls a fucking snake out of her bag, and she's like, "I found this snake just for you." And he's like, "Why did she think he would come?" And I don't, oh God, obviously she does not know children at all. Like, what child's gonna come down for a snake? Anyway, um, he starts calling his grandma, like he starts wailing grandma's name. Grandma, grandma, right? And eventually this witch just like she books it. She's like, fuck this shit. I'm out of here. And that was that. And then they decide to go to a hotel. I don't fully understand why, but they do. And there's this convention going on at the hotel, and it says it's for the welfare of children or something like that. It's like the ASPCA, but instead of for animals, it's I swear on my life. Um, but these people actually do not want the welfare of children. They want them all to be turned into mice. Because they're all witches and witches hate children. So Luke gets caught in this room, and then all these ladies just scurry in, and they're, God, I don't understand it, because like the way they were walking, it was like they were like bottlenecking in this room like there was a Black Friday sale about to go on, right? I'm just like, girl, there ain't no doorbusters, okay? And so this woman, the Grand High Witch, who's got like thick bad bitch hair, is at the front, and I hate her voice, but they lock the doors, they make sure the doors are locked, they make sure nobody's watching, and then she's like, you may remove your shoes, and they remove their shoes, and this little boy Luke is watching them from like behind a, in Mulan, when she's changing and she goes behind that panel,
Yeah.
he's behind one of those, and he's
Okay.
watching from like the holes, like the Latisse holes or something like that. I don't know how the hell they didn't see him, but not my business. So he's watching, and he sees them all remove their shoes, and he sees that they have square feet, and he's like, oh my God, they're witches. And this Grand High Witch is like, you may remove your wigs, and they all remove their wigs, and then as they're all removing their wigs, she removes her mask, and we are presented with this horrifying, terrible creature looking thing, and it reminds me of the vampires in the movie, I think it's called Daybreakers. It's from like 2010 or so. It was like the first somewhat horror movie that I ever watched. And so he's watching, and they're like, we hate children. How are we going to solve this problem? Let's turn them all into mice. So they have this potion, concoction, whatever, number 86. And she's like, this tiny little bottle is enough for 500 doses. And if you put one drop in their food, it'll take just 2 hours for them to turn into a mouse. But if you put more, it will do it instantly. And then they bring this child in. His name is, I don't know, but he very much sounded like Ron Weasley. Like, dead ass, he did.
Was it
And
Bruno?
yes, I think
Yeah.
so. And they poured this shit down his throat with the promise of chocolate, 6 chocolate bars. And then they turn him into a mouse. And let me tell you, I had to fast forward through the transformation scene because it was so disturbing. The graphics, they made them shake like they were having seizures, and then there was like green electricity, like, just, I don't understand, I don't get it. It is what it is. I hated it, but I had to witness it like 3 times because I will get to that, and it was awful. And so they're about ready to leave, and then one of them smells dog shit, and they're like, oh my God, it's dog shit. You know what that means? That means that there's a child in here. Which, what if it was actual dog shit?
That would be hilarious, actually. They should have done that.
That would have been fantastic. Like, let's recap for a second. Luke literally could have just pulled down his pants, dropped a big one, and then gotten the hell. Okay. So they smell dog shit. They're like, where's it coming from? Where's it coming from? Which, by the way, why couldn't they smell it earlier?
I don't have an answer for you.
Plot hole. And they find him, and he's trying to escape, but obviously when there's 200 witches against one 10-year-old boy, who's gonna win the 200 witches, okay? And they hold him down like he's being like tied and quartered, and they force this potion number 86 in his mouth, like the whole fucking bottle, and they turn him into a mouse. And let's be real, he's a very cute mouse, okay? They're both very cute mice. He books it the hell out of there. This Grand High Witch finds this lady with a little stroller. She pushes the stroller down the hill and allows this baby, like baby in a stroller, baby sleeping in stroller, baby needs 14, 16 hours of sleep per day, baby. Literal, genuine, bona fide baby. A baby, not like Ziggy baby, like a baby. Okay. I don't know how else to get that across. Like, I call everything baby, but like this is like a baby. Okay. So she pushes the stroller down the hill, and this baby's about to go into the fucking ocean. And like this kid saves the baby. And then they catch him, they bring him back, they turn him into a fucking mouse. He's a cute ass mouse. He finds his grandmother somehow, and he's able to speak human. How? I don't know. Mice don't have vocal cords like that. So they concoct this plan to steal the 86 potion, whatever, and they decide to feed it to all the witches in their soup. And Bruno's dad is like, I want the crow soup. And they're like, but that's specifically for the ASPCA, but for children people. And he's like, I want the crow soup. And this man's like, fine. And Luke is in the kitchens with this potion 86. He drops it. He gets his tail chopped off. He drops it in.
Oh my God.
He gets his tail chopped off. He drops the whole bottle of the potion, which by the way is not very big. It's literally like 50 milliliters. Okay, like we're talking like less than an ounce. Okay. He drops it, the cap comes off magically, and then they feed it to them, and they all turn into mice, and the entire hotel staff is going bonkers because there's mice and people are being turned into mice. And there's one lady, one witch that did not drink the soup, eat the soup. She did not consume the soup, and she was apparently actually a good witch, like Glinda. And at the end of the movie, we see that Luke is back with his grandmother, and I don't remember what the hell he was doing. I fast forwarded through quite a bit at the end because I was just getting frustrated and fed up with it. And the lady is outside, the good witch lady, like Glinda, the good witch. And she turns Luke back into a boy, and then she starts driving off, and through the window, Luke is like, don't forget about Bruno. And then the movie ends.
What? That's how it ends?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can already tell you, like, this might be a hot take. I don't know because I haven't seen the first one, but the second one's better.
It was so bad.
It sounds not good, especially the end.
Oh, like I'm glad that one witch had a redemption arc. Like, don't forget about Bruno.
That's so fucking stupid. I can't.
Through the window of a second story, like window. She's in her car on the street, probably like 20 meters away. And he's yelling through the window. The window is closed.
Buddy, I don't think she can hear you. Are we supposed to think that she heard him?
It's implied.
Okay. That's whatever.
It's implied.
So like a lot of the stuff you said is the same, but there are some differences.
Were the mice still cute? Were there still mice?
There were still mice. Like almost everything, like the main story was pretty much the same, except for there was no good witch. The lady who doesn't drink the soup is the Grand High Witch. and there's like a little battle. Oh yeah. The kid who in the second, like in the remake, his name, like he doesn't have a name, and I was watching with closed captions and it says like hero grunts. I was like, hero. So I looked
Yeah,
up the IMDb and it's literally that's his character's name is Hero.
Hero Boy.
Yeah. Which okay, I guess. And the ending is way better, way better. But like it's the way the movie starts is also different because the person who's telling you about spoilers, the person who's telling you about the witches and how witches are real, there's like a school projector and it's Chris Rock's voice.
Yeah.
Chris Rock is the main character, but like grown up.
I was about to say he's Hero Boy adult.
Right. Um, and there's he's hero adult. And there's a part where he goes, wait, what does he say? A witch might be living next door to you right now. And I'm like, that's me.
You're like, I
And
am the witch.
that's me. I am the witch. Um, but like at the end, like it cuts to him and he's like an old mouse, quote unquote. Like he's like graying and his grandma
Wait,
has not
he
aged a
doesn't get
day.
changed back.
Hmm? He
He doesn't
doesn't
get.
change back.
Yeah.
None of the kids change back because there's three kids actually. One of them is that's the other thing I forgot. His grandma gifted him a mouse after his parents died to like lift his spirits or something.
You know what?
And he named
That happened in the original, but she gave him two mice, and their names were Mary and William, meaning one was a lady mouse and one was a man mouse, which
okay.
means they were having babies sometime eventually. It happened. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like it's bound to happen. Like
You
you,
can't fix mice.
you
So
can't, and you should never, ever, ever put female and male my rodents in general together ever.
right. No, you shouldn't.
Oh, don't do it.
In the remake, she just gives him one, and later in the movie, we find out like she can talk, and she was also a kid that got turned into a mouse. And Kristen Chenoweth voices her, and her name is Mary. But yeah, they don't get turned back in the end. He stays a mouse, and he and his grandma become witch hunters, and they have like a van and they're like in a school like talking to kids, like recruiting them to be witch hunters. And I just find it strange that like there's a mouse working this projector. None of the kids have questions about this. Did we just not see that part? I don't know. But and grandma hasn't aged a day from like when we watch this to when he's having this presentation, and very clearly an adult man. So like what's going on with that? Um,
Maybe it's because mice age faster than humans.
yeah, I well, yeah,
Like
I
I
don't
would
know.
imagine that it's probably like a year later.
I mean, based on how grandma looks, like 2 to 3 years later, max, like max, because she looks the
Like
exact fucking same.
mice live like I think 1 to 3 years.
Yeah, I don't remember what because they talk about that in the movie. Because Hero's like, you know what, Grandma, I like being a mouse, and he's like, how long do mice live? And she said something like, I don't know, like the longest they can live, 7 years, 10 years. Maybe I'm misremembering that. And he's like, okay, Grandma, we'll get old and die together. And she's like, she says something about how none of us can determine our time on Earth or something. She's like a
I
religious lady.
just want to say that in the book The Green Mile, the mouse Mr. Jingles lives to be 64 years old.
I feel, is he a magic mouse?
No, but spoilers if you've never read The Green Mile and you'd like to, or if you've never seen the movie and you'd like to, skip ahead a minute or two. John Coffey, one of the main protagonists characters in the story, has the supernatural ability to heal people of their illnesses and pass them on to others. He healed Mr. Jingles, mouse. The mouse. He healed the mouse, and the mouse lived for 64 years. He also healed Paul Edgecombe, who was one of the prison people. I believe he was an executioner. I listened to it and I was zoning out on a good portion of it. Anyway, Paul Edgecombe lives to be at least 104. The story ends when he's 104. So whoever he heals lives in a naturally long life.
Okay. Well, maybe since he was magicked on in The Witches, maybe that's why I don't know. There's no logic in this movie, like no magic logic. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Anne Hathaway plays the Grand High Witch. We love her. She was the best part of the movie. She was selling the shit out of it. They do the same thing. They poison the soup. Oh my God. Before they put the potion in the soup for the witches, they steal some, and Grandma tries to reverse engineer it into a cure, because something that we find out towards the beginning of the movie is that Grandma is a fucking, she's like, okay, she has a locked closet, and when you open the closet, there's a ton of herbs, there's crystals.
Homeopathic.
Yeah, well, in the narration, Chris Rock is going like, I don't know exactly what he said, but he said something like, I always knew that Grandma like was a healer. She uses herbs to heal people and herself. And then he saw the closet because it was locked, and he saw her holding a crystal to her head, and he's like, I found out that she must be something like a voodoo priestess. And I was like, okay, now we're like pushing it a little bit, because I don't know, she just looked like a folk practitioner to me, which made me think about the word witch, because I saw that. I'm like, bro, she's a witch. Like she's a witch. But when she tries to reverse engineer it, she puts hyssop, I don't know if I'm saying that right, and mugwort, and I think holy water in it. And it doesn't work.
You still gonna hook me up with that mugwort?
Oh yeah. So yeah, it had me thinking about the word witch. Not every practitioner likes to be called a witch or likes that label. And like, what's the point of labels, right? To like get across an identifier.
So what is this author's name? Roald or
Roald Dahl.
Okay, I know that his books are older and are likely not very politically correct. With that being said, the witches in these movies very much fall under harmful stereotypes of Jewish people, which is the stereotypical witch with a pointy nose, bushy hair, olive or green skin.
Yeah. They must have fixed that in the new movie, because they're not so much, but like that is discouraging. Maybe we should talk about that sometime, because
I
like,
think
and
we should
where
do
those come from.
I think we should do a mini-sode on that, very much
Yeah.
so. And I do have some sources that we can use. And we can potentially link them in show notes either for this episode or the episode in which we actually discuss this. The stereotypical witch in the original is a very harmful image, especially to the Jewish people. But also there is nothing witchy about these witches, aside from the fact that they have potions and can do some magic. And the thing is, like, I feel like their portrayal of witches is very, very not genuine.
Because I was thinking about the word witch, I looked up the like definition, like in the dictionary. And the first thing that came up was a person thought to have magic powers, especially evil ones, popularly depicted as a woman wearing a black cloak and a pointy hat flying on a broomstick. And then I went to Merriam-Webster, and It has a similar first definition, which was a person, especially a woman, who is credited with having usually malignant supernatural powers. And then it had a second definition that said less commonly a practitioner of witchcraft, especially an adherence with a neo-pagan tradition or religion. So that was nice to see that it was in the dictionary.
So what we're seeing is that the first definition has negative connotations.
For sure. And like I mean, the story, the fairy tale witch has been around for a very long time, especially like in the popular culture. So like what I'm not surprised by the witches that are in Roald Dahl's story, but I'm discouraged by the fact that they're like depicted that way in the 1990 version.
Aside from the fact that this movie was really, really cheesy and tacky, and the story really was not that good. Like,
It was like a C- story. Is that being generous?
That's being very generous. Like, okay, the story. Witches want to turn children into mice.
They do it.
That's the story. There's nothing more. Like that's all it is. Witches want to turn children into mice because they hate children.
Yeah. And in the second one, like they do it. I think they improved the story on the second one because at least there was some weird resolution because at least the kids didn't get turned back into kids, but they also started witch hunting. Very strange, very weird. I don't know how to feel about it because the reason they can witch hunt now is because the Grand High Witch had like a fuck ton of that mouse maker potion and they stole all of it from her hotel room. And so plan on poisoning every witch they find because the Grand High Witch had a notebook with the list of every witch in America.
You know what? That happened in the first one, and I just kind of forgot about it.
Mm. Fair enough. I mean, it's a very like I'm surprised I'm recalling as much as I am right now. I feel like it's kind of a forgettable movie. Like I was watching it and I'm usually very patient with movies, but like halfway through, like I didn't look at it yet. I was like, God, I'm like over this. And then I looked how much is left and it was fucking barely halfway over. What I wrote down was final thoughts, cute but serious pacing issues. I got bored halfway through. Anne Hathaway was phenomenal as always. Watch Matilda instead.
I would agree with that. And Matilda has a cute little song by Harry Styles to go along with it.
What do you mean?
Oh, Harry Styles wrote a song called Matilda, and it's based off of the movie.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I thought you were talking about like because the remake of sorry, not the remake. They made a movie out of the musical Matilda, and that is really good. And I thought you were saying that Harry Styles wrote a song for the musical, and I was like, I don't
How
know
cute
about that.
would that be?
But yeah, also like watch the original Matilda and also watch the musical if you like musicals because it was just so good. I thought it was interesting that they made grandma like a folk practitioner, considering she wasn't in the original movie. Oh, and it's played by Octavia Spencer, who we also love.
Yes.
But
I think it's good to touch on that they had more representation in the remake, but also the child literally did not have a name.
Yeah, I thought that was very weird.
Like we talk about in like The Princess and the Frog, how it's like literally the first movie where Disney princess movie where there's a black princess, and how like 70, 80, 90% of the movie she's like her time on screen is being a frog.
Right.
And like if you're going to have a black princess and have representation, what's the point if she's literally not even going to be black for
She's
I don't
green.
right. I don't know if like that's correct, like by saying like she's not black when she's a frog because she still has her culture and everything, but like she's literally not a human. you do not see her skin color represented on screen.
Yeah.
Because he's a frog and not a human. So, and that makes me think like the child gets turned into a mouse, so he's not a human. His skin color is not depicted on screen, and also he doesn't have a name, which also is kind of like, why doesn't he have a name when, you know what I'm saying?
It would be so easy just to give him a name. Mark, Lucas, Johnny, whatever. Like, why is he hero? I thought it was so weird.
I feel like, yes, the representation is important, and it's great that they did have people of color in the movie as the main characters, and not only as the main characters, but as the protagonists. But if you're going to have people of color as the protagonists, give them a goddamn name.
Yeah. In my notes, I just kept calling him Chris Rock. I'm like, Chris Rock has dead parents. His grandma asks Chris Rock if he wants hot chocolate and chicken wings. He says no, but she makes them anyway, which I really like that part.
Chicken wings?
Yeah, she like at first when he first gets there, she's like, "Do you want some hot chocolate?" He's like, "No," and she's like, "I'm gonna make some anyway, just in case he wants some." And I was like, and then later, like he hadn't been eating because he was grieving the loss of his parents, and she was like, "You want some chicken wings?" No one says no to my chicken wings, and she made him a plate. It goes untouched, but like I don't know. It gave me I loved the grandma character. I thought she was great. But it just one other compliment for this movie that I don't really like. The soundtrack for at least The Witches 2020 fucking slaps. Like it's really good. So
There was no music in the first one. Like there was like a score, but there was nothing from like the late 80s or early 90s. There's nothing.
Yeah, two songs I wrote down were they had Sitting on the Dock of the Bay, which is like one of my favorite songs, and they had It's Your Thing. I don't know who originally sings that one, but the other one's by Otis Redding. I think. I'm pretty sure. This movie, like, it was on Netflix for like a year ago. And you know how Netflix automatically plays like a clip when you scroll on it?
Mm-hmm.
It would always play this part of Bruno, and it haunted me. It was like, that lady promised me 6 whole bars of Swiss chocolate. And then it would cut off because I'm like, I don't want to fucking hear this shrill child's voice anymore. I was like, I'll watch the movie someday so I know what the fuck he's talking about. And now I have, and I kind of regret it.
Won't be watching that one again.
Yeah. I wrote in my notes, Grandma keeps a bunch of herbs and crystals and shit in a locked closet, in all caps. Girly, you're a folk practitioner.
This was a miss.
I don't recommend it. I simply don't.
Look, if you're a huge fan of Anne Hathaway, Chris Rock, and Octavia, what's her last name?
Spencer.
And Octavia Spencer, by all means, go for it.
Mm.
Second one, that is.
Yeah.
Don't think the original has any notable cast members.
I don't recognize any of these names. Oh, but the person who plays Grand High Witch looks familiar. Her name is Angelica Houston.
She does look familiar. I'm sure I've seen her in something else.
She's Morticia from the Addams Family. I'm like 90% sure.
Oh, you know what? I can see it, but she also has the same haircut or hairstyle as Caitlin Doughty from Ask a Mortician.
She sure does.
It's that Deathling haircut.
It's very blunt bang.
Blunt bang, blunt ends. They can make it work.
Yeah. I think it looks good on her. Watch Matilda, watch The Addams Family or The Addams Family Values, like much better movies than what we watched. And I was thinking about watching the original, but like now that I've heard that not only is it almost the exact same plot, but like also like it's worse.
I was gonna watch the second one after the first one, and I was like, do I really want to watch the same movie, just slightly different, twice within 4 hours? No,
I don't.
Just each of us watch one of them and we compare notes.
Yeah. And I'm glad we did because it's the same fucking movie. Except for
the ending.
Yeah, the ending, I don't know. Like you could argue that the 2020 version is better, but like it's still not a great movie. Like I don't know. If I had to give it a star rating out of 5, I would give it like a like a like taking my feelings out of it, I give it like maybe a 1.5.
I was gonna say 2.
I was gonna say 2, but like I really didn't like it. I feel like the pacing was so awful. Like the pacing was so bad. I'm like, God, when is this gonna be over?
I would agree. And now that you say like 1.5, and I think about how much I did not like it, I think a 2 is very generous.
It is.
We're looking at a Rotten Tomatoes score of like 15%, maybe less. I think 15 is, I'd say that's fair. What score did it get on Rotten Tomatoes? Let's look it up.
I'm gonna look up what the 2021 got.
Are you
Okay.
shitting me?
It's a classic, so people probably love it, right? For no fucking reason.
93% on the tomato meter, and the audience score is 70%.
It's the nostalgia talking. Do you want to hear the 2021? It's 49% on the tomato meter and a 32% audience score. So I feel like that tracks. The critics' consensus of The Witches 2020 says The Witches misses a few spells, but Anne Hathaway's game performance might be enough to bewitch fans of this Roald Dahl tale, which I completely agree with.
Okay, hold on. There's some things that I need to mention here. The critics' consensus here says, with a deliciously wicked performance from Angelica Huston and imaginative puppetry by, here we go, Jim Henson of The Muppets, Creature Shop, Nicholas Roeg's dark and witty movie captures the spirit of Roald Dahl's writing like few other adaptations. First of all, I think that's bullshit. Second of all, Jim Henson can do better. I hope he only did the mice. Please, for the love of God, I hope he only did the mice.
Oh, we didn't talk about, and the CGI in The Witches 2020 is not good. I mean, the mice looked kind of cute, but like they also like there was this part where, of course they exploded into mice, that was CGI, and then there was the part where Anne Hathaway did this thing where like she would reach for someone and her arms would go out and they would get all bendy and like crooked and gross. Like it looked gross, but like also it looked not great.
You know what? I said that there weren't any notable cast members, but I was wrong because Rowan Atkinson is in it.
See, I don't know who that is.
Mr. Bean.
Oh, okay. Now that I'm looking at his face again, now I see it.
Honestly, best performance by Rowan Atkinson.
Stanley Tucci plays Mr. Stringer, the hotel manager in the new one, and I love Stanley Tucci. And I felt like he did a fine job. He was pretty like
They give off the same vibes.
Stanley Tucci and Rowan Atkinson?
When you think about it deep down, they give off the same vibes. Think about it. Any character one of them could play, I'm sure the other could play.
I mean, I agree with that because I love Stanley Tucci, but like Stanley Tucci has like God, I just clicked on Rowan Atkinson's name and now I'm looking at a bunch of pictures of Mr. Bean.
Are Stanley Tucci and Anne Hathaway best friends?
I don't know, but I hope so.
Because he was also in The Devil Wears Prada.
Yes, he was. I love that movie so fucking much. And it's on my like rotation right now of movies that I watch like several times a week.
Hey, guess what?
What?
They are best friends.
Really?
I'm assuming.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if I Googled both of their names, they're totally besties. They're totally besties. Look at these red carpet pictures. They're totally besties.
Since you're you're on Encanto right now, did you like not watch it when it came out, or are you just like into it right now?
I watched it when it came out. I watched it on my
okay.
28th birthday, I believe.
Okay.
In theaters.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Did you sob in public?
No, because let's talk about Encanto for a moment. I was really kind of upset when I first saw it because the ending wasn't satisfying enough for me the first time I saw it.
Really?
Because first off, I was really mad at Abuela because she treats Mirabel like shit.
Valid.
Um, and I know that this movie is about healing generational trauma and stuff like that, but um reminds me of my own grandmother, which I was really hoping that she would get a gift at the end. And like now when I watch it, I think about the fact that like she's the normal one. She doesn't need a gift to be special. Like she is the gift to this family because she can kind of keep people in line and shit like that, right? Um, but I was really, really upset that she did not give a gift, especially when at the end they gave her the doorknob to the house. And I thought that when that happened, that she
It was gonna be her door. But like I don't I love like in the lyrics when they're like the miracle is you. I'm just like fully like sometimes with Disney movies like there's a point where like I'll start crying and I just won't stop. At that point when they sing that part when they're like rebuilding the house, like I'm like still like tears are quietly streaming down my face. They're like singing to her as she like goes to put in the doorknob. I'm like fucking like on the verge of ugly crying.
I need to talk about one of the lyrics. They sing about constellation.
Every star wants to shine, something
The
like that.
constellation shift, but the thing is, I always, for whatever reason, thought they were singing about consolation.
Like a consolation prize.
Yes. So like every time I hear that, I'm just like, yeah, consolation prize. And I'm just like, that's not the lyric.
Okay, yeah, this is another movie you can watch instead of The Witches. The only thing I had that was witchy, like borderline educational, but not really, more of a discussion, was the thing about like how grandma is a folk practitioner basically, but she uses the word witch in a bad way because the witches in this movie are like actual literal demons. And I just thought it was interesting. People have reclaimed the word witch a little bit, but some people still don't like it. Some people prefer pagan. Some people who like practice brujeria will, obviously they're brujas. Sorry, I said that's super white.
Then you got the woo-woos like you.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, so woo woo. I guess we can talk about that for a second. Woo woo is like I literally sent you the definition. Hold on.
And I changed your name.
Yeah, she changed my name to what is it? Silly witch
Woo.
silly witch woo woo.
My name is Silly Bitch and your name is Silly Witch Woo Woo.
Because I said woo woo to Kaya and she was like, "Excuse me?" And so I sent her a screen cap of the definition that's on Google. Unconventional beliefs regarded as having little to no scientific basis, especially those relating to spirituality, mysticism, or alternative medicine. And like, no one really likes being called woo woo. So like, don't call people woo unless they they self proclaim that they are woo woo. That's not a nice thing to call a witch or a pagan or whatever. I'm so sorry if you love the witches and you're listening to this and like we're ragging on it, but like I just don't feel compelled to lie to you.
Want to us, Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway, I love you. You were the best part of that movie.
I'm so
You
sorry
saved
if
it.
that was your favorite film that you've ever done.
You saved it, Anne Hathaway, from being a 0 star, truly. She really is so good in that movie, though. Like, the only parts that I really liked were the scenes with her in it.
She is one of the few celebrities that I get notifications from on Instagram.
There's really nothing to this movie. I'm like looking in my notes. There's nothing there. There's nothing, just nothing. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry that but I'm sorry, but also thank you if you listened this far. Do you actually want mugwort?
Yes, I don't remember what it's used for, but yes. Can it clear my skin?
I didn't see that in the benefits. No.
Will it cure my BPD?
No.
Migraine?
I deleted my notes for practical magic, but I know it can help with like achy muscles. I feel like it can help with
Yes.
headaches. So I was thinking like maybe I'll make a salve. So,
For
but
the
I
most
kind of,
part, though, we stayed on topic.
I mean, it's okay if we went on tangents because like this movie's so fucking boring. Like, what else are we supposed to do?
There, like, we didn't go on a lot of tangents, and because we both watched our own, we were able to kind of, like, I feel like keep it going for a little while.
Yeah, I hope you guys like enjoyed it or at least tolerated it. And if you're listening for the first time, make sure to subscribe, okay?
Make sure to follow us.
Let us know what you think, leave a review, follow us on social media. We're at Movie Witch Pod and at the Movie Witch Podcast. If you like what you heard and you want to help us grow and improve, please consider supporting us on Patreon for $2 or $7 per month. Our Patreon benefits include getting episodes a week early, unedited video versions of episodes, and exclusive Patreon bonus episodes. So you can see all the shenanigans, all the tangents we went on during this episode. Yeah.
And me putting my hair back in the thing.
Yeah, there's a hair thing that Kai has been playing with most of the time, and so you can you can see that if you join Patreon for $2 a month.
Our pets.
Oh, and our pets, yeah. I think we're both like mentally checked out of this episode now, and like, you know what? That's okay.
I've been mentally checked out all day. I went to bed at like 4:30.
Oh my God, that's when I got up. Okay. I think we covered everything. Don't watch this movie, watch something else. Yeah, watch Encanto, watch Addams Family, watch Matilda, watch literally anything else. Okay. Bye, witches.
Bye, witches.